Happy morning, my dear students of class 8, and I am glad to welcome you all to today's zoology class. So what have we been studying in our previous classes in zoology? We are studying about the circulatory system, right? We have studied about the structure of the heart, the functions of the heart, the functions of each chamber and valves of the heart, all we have studied, right? Also we have studied about the entire cardiovascular system and their functions, right? So in today's class we are going to learn about a topic called conditions related to improper functioning of a heart. What is the topic of the class today? Conditions related to improper functioning of a heart. Quite a lengthy title, right? So let's get started. So what does this mean, conditions related to improper functioning of the heart? You know how a normal heart functions, right? We have studied in detail in our previous classes. So what will happen if suppose the normal functions of the heart is disturbed? It will lead to certain conditions. It is not called as diseases, it is called as conditions. About those conditions only we are going to learn in today's class. So the conditions are related to improper functioning of the heart. If the normal functions of the heart is disturbed by any means, it will lead to improper functioning, which means the heart does not function properly. There are three conditions called as palpitations, cardiac arrest and hypertension. So if your heart doesn't function properly, there are three consequences or conditions related to improper functioning. The first one is called palpitations, the second condition is called cardiac arrest, and the third condition is called hypertension. So about these three conditions in today's class we are going to learn. So we'll start with the first topic, palpitations. It is related to heartbeat. Okay, so if there is irregularity in the heartbeat, you know heart always beats in a rhythmic pattern. It is always in a rhythmic pattern. What is a rhythm? If you know music or if you have a sense of music also, you can relate to this. Rhythm is a regular pattern. In a regular way it will be beating. Usually you call the beat of the heart as a lub and tub, right? Lub tub we used to mention. Why? Because the first sound lub will have a specific pattern and the second sound tub will have a specific pattern. That's why we don't call lub lub or tub tub. We call it as lub and tub because the first sound and the second sound is going to differ in their pattern. Okay. So why this difference? You know, when auricles contract, it will be just pushed, the blood will be pushed only to the ventricles to a smaller distance, but when the ventricles contract, the blood is forced to flow throughout the body, for which the force should be more. So it is pumped more vigorously. That's why the second beat is like the prolonged one. So lub and tub, this is a way of rhythmic pattern in your heart, right? So here this condition palpitation means this normal lub tub sound will have a difference, which means difference in the rhythm. Instead of lub tub, it's not going to beat in some other pattern, but it is not in a rhythmic way. Either it is prolonged or it falls short than the regular pattern. Clear? That's why it is irregular and fast. Irregular means something which is deviated from the normal regular pattern, and it is very fast usually. Rather than slowing down, this palpitation condition results in faster heartbeat. Clear? So what may be the causes? Why suddenly a person's heartbeat is going to beat very fast? There are some reasons. The first reason mentioned is diabetes. What is diabetes? Diabetes is increase in the blood glucose level. You must have studied in your lower grades. I don't know if you remember. So in diabetic patients, what happens? Their insulin is not properly secreted. So usually for the digestion of glucose in your body, you need insulin. Okay, but in this condition, in diabetic patients, since the insulin is not secreted properly, their glucose level is not broken down. Whereas in diabetic patients, the glucose levels remain elevated in the blood. So fastly they digest and release all the glucose what they eat into the blood. Always their blood will have glucose. So this condition is called diabetic conditions. So when a person's blood has a glucose, it will also disturb the beat of the heart. The heartbeat is faster whenever a person's glucose is present in the blood in higher levels. That's why diabetic patients will have improper heartbeat. And also hyperthyroidism. Thyroid, you must have heard, right? What is thyroid? Thyroid is a gland in your neck region. What does this gland does? It secretes thyroid. But when thyroid is secreted in higher levels or in lower levels, it will lead to abnormalities. Okay, if a person's thyroid gland is secreting more thyroid, then it is called hyperthyroidism. What is this word hyper? Who do you call as hyper? Suppose if a child is too active in a class, then we used to call the child as hyper. The child is hyper, we tell, right? Because the activity is more than the normal level. Similarly, hyperthyroidism means more secretion of thyroid. Suppose if a person's blood has more glucose or if a person secretes more thyroid, then it may lead to a condition called as palpitations. What is palpitations? Fast beat of the heart. Heartbeat rhythm is not normal, but it is in a faster rate. So let's see some more points about palpitations. What it is accompanied by? What is accompany? Accompany means along with these major symptoms. What is the major symptom? You know, faster heartbeat is the major symptom for palpitations. What is accompanied along with the fast heartbeat? There are certain conditions like dizziness. What is dizziness? You feel like fainting. The person with palpitation will feel like fainting. So that is dizziness. And unconsciousness. Either he feels like fainting or he becomes unconscious. He loses his consciousness whenever a person suffers from palpitations. And also he has chest pain, a pain in the chest region, and shortness in breath. What does this mean? The person is not able to breathe normally or like in a usual way. He is deprived of oxygen or air. He has shortness in breath because of palpitations, and the pulse falls below 50 or above 120. What is this pulse? Usually in your left hand, no, you can do this as an activity for today. You are going to measure your pulse rate. Okay, what is your pulse rate? You will measure, and that will be your activity for today. What you do, you use these 3 fingers of your right hand. Okay, and then in your left wrist, no, you are going to press with your right 3 fingers, middle 3 fingers. You are going to press gently, and you can observe like a heartbeat, some beat you can observe in this region. You can place the thumb below and the 3 fingers above. Press a little so that you will get a beat, like just like your heartbeat, what you realize, no, when you place near your chest region. Similarly, the pulse also you can sense. Clear? So for 1 minute, what is your pulse rate? You will measure, count the number of times you get that beat and write in your note or a paper and send the picture to me. For 1 minute, what is your pulse rate? You are going to measure. Clear? So for those people who have palpitations, the pulse rate is either very less than 50, or it is too high, that is above 120. So it is also a condition which is accompanied along with faster heartbeat. And if the main condition, that is the faster heartbeat, or these accompanied conditions, that is dizziness, unconsciousness, chest pain, shortness in breath, or abnormality in the pulse rate, then the person is taken to the hospital for heart monitoring tests. There are many tests to check if the person's heart is functioning normally. So these tests the person has to take and find the cause for the abnormality. Clear? This is all about palpitations. So the next condition is cardiac arrest. You must have heard, no? What is arrest? Sudden stop of the heartbeat or the heart pumping is called cardiac arrest. Usually until a person dies, the heart beats endlessly. It is expected to beat, right? But sometimes it is arrested only for few seconds. So what you must have seen in some maybe not in reality, at least in movies I guess you must have seen. Suppose if a person is about to die, what the doctor does, he beats the chest. Why? Because suppose if a person's heartbeat stops, sometimes if the doctor beats on the chest region, there is a chance of the heartbeat to work again. If it stops for some while, there are some chances. So the doctor tries that way. So a person's heartbeat being stopped for few or more seconds, it is not in minutes. If it is going to be stopped for some seconds, then it is called cardiac arrest. Permanent stop you cannot address as cardiac arrest because it is addressed as death, right? So if for a few seconds the heartbeat stops or the heart pump doesn't works, then it is called as cardiac arrest. And at this condition what happens, sometimes immediately when the heartbeat stops, the result is the oxygen supply to the brain also is stopped. The oxygen supply to brain is stopped. So what will happen, sometimes this condition will lead to coma. What is coma? The person will not know what is happening around. So if a person's brain is deprived of oxygen, if there is shortage of oxygen supply to blood, it may even lead to coma. So this condition is very dangerous. What are the symptoms? How will you know that a person has had cardiac arrest? He will lose his consciousness. Most of the heart diseases will be like dizziness or losing the consciousness will be the symptoms. So here in cardiac arrest, the person loses his consciousness and also there is damage to the coronary artery. You have studied about coronary arteries, in the structure of the heart, you know what is coronary artery. So that coronary artery is damaged. If a person had cardiac arrest, the doctor can find out. Sometimes this cardiac arrest, without doctor's help, it will, the body has many mechanisms to make unusual things normal. We have self mechanisms to it will try to repair our body if something is abnormal. Say for example, if the arrest is for few seconds, the body will find itself a solution to make it normal. So by himself the person may recover from the arrest. But the doctor can diagnose if the coronary arteries are found to be damaged. When the doctor tests, he can sense, the doctor will realize that the person had cardiac arrest. It's that way. And what are the causes for cardiac arrest? Who will get cardiac arrest easily? People with high blood pressure. About this blood pressure, we will be learning in the next slides. You must have heard BP, that is blood pressure. So people with high blood pressure may get cardiac arrest easily, and those who smoke too much will also get cardiac arrest. Chances are there for cardiac arrest. And if the lifestyle is not proper way of eating, sleeping, all, if it's not good, then also the person may easily get cardiac arrest. And also people who drink more will also get cardiac arrest easily. And mainly obesity will lead to cardiac arrest. What is this obesity? You must have heard, right? So much of weight gain is obesity. Why a person gets weight so much? There are few reasons like improper way of eating or eating more junk foods. What are junk foods? Food which does not have vitamins or minerals mostly. See, our body needs vitamins, minerals, and it has to be in a balanced way, no? The diet should be balanced, but junk foods, of course, it will be tasty, like a burger or french fries, whatever. Even the bottled juices, no, carbonated drinks, all will come under junk food. Say for example, if you are going to drink carbonated juices, already you have studied the structure of the heart. Good blood is oxygen rich blood, right? So carbonated drinks will have carbon dioxide. What is the nature of carbon dioxide? It will make the blood itself impure, right? So when you take in more carbon dioxide, obviously it is not good for your health. And also carbonated drinks also will have more sugar, right? The concentration of sugar will be very high, so that you gain weight easily. Similarly, french fries, all, it's every time students are favorite, right? Children like it always. But what does it has? It has only starch. There is no vitamins or minerals in potato. And also when it is deep fried, so much of oil you take in, so it will make the food as a junk one. So people with the habit of eating junk foods regularly, and also sometimes it is genetic. Genetic means if your parents are obese, the child also will get that nature from their parents, and the child will also be obese. The weight gain will be from the parents, even if the child's healthy eating habits are healthy. And those who are lazy, who always sit in a place without any activity after eating, if you are not active, if you are going to sit in a place idle, then also the person will become obese in nature. So these are all some reasons for obesity. So we have studied here, people with obesity have more chances of getting this condition, that is cardiac arrest. So what have we studied about the causes of cardiac arrest? People with high blood pressure, or those who smoke frequently, those who are obese, and if the lifestyle is not good, and alcoholic people also will have more chances of getting this cardiac arrest. Then the last condition which leads to improper functioning of the heart is hypertension. I told you the meaning of hyper already, right? What is hyper? Something which is above the normal. So more tension is hypertension. So why a person is tensed so much? Because of high blood pressure. He or she does not do this intentionally, but because of the blood pressure in his or her body, he becomes tensed so much. So why high blood pressure is caused in a person's body? What may be the reason? The blood flow on the walls of the artery is going to be with a very high force. On the walls of the arteries, the flow of blood keeps on flowing in your arteries and veins, right? So the blood flow within the artery is going to be very high in this condition, and if the blood flows with the higher force on the walls of the arteries, then the person will get a condition called as hypertension, and also his systolic and diastolic pressure increases. Are you familiar with these two words, systole and diastole? What is this? We have studied already, right? I will tell you again. When the ventricles contract, there is a pressure generated, and that pressure is called systolic pressure, and when the auricles contract, it will lead to diastolic pressure. The pressure generated, see, when there is contraction, that there is a extra pressure, right? So that pressure is called systolic pressure in the case of ventricles, and as diastolic pressure in the case of auricles. Auricles always contract and generate less pressure, whereas ventricles produce a more pressure, because with this pressure only the blood is going to flow throughout the body, right? So about this we have studied already, and because of these two pressures, if these two pressures are going to be higher in condition, then it will lead to hypertension. So what is the normal pressure that is expected to be in a normal person's body? The systolic pressure should be 120. So how much the systolic pressure should be? It should be 120, and the diastolic pressure should be 80. So this is the normal pressure levels in a person's body. When you go to hospitals, first what the doctor does, he checks your blood pressure, no? He or she, the doctor will tie something on your left hand, and with some instrument the doctor used to pump. Now what is that? That is called as sphygmomanometer. So that is the device which is used to check your systolic or diastolic pressure. Clear? So in a person with hypertension, these values, that is both the systolic and diastolic pressures, will be elevated value or a higher value than the normal levels, and also the pressure, the blood pressure, the force with which the blood flows will also be very high in these people. So what may be the causes of hypertension? Why a person gets hypertension? If a person takes alcohol too much, more alcohol consumption will lead to a condition called as hypertension. And also adding so much of salt to your food is also a condition which will lead to high blood pressure. So always consume salt in a limited levels, and also fatty foods, junk foods will also lead to high blood pressure. So limit the intake of junk foods. And when a person is in stressed people also may get hypertension condition easily. So practice conditions which will make you always keep cool. And a person whose physical activity is very less, or he or she is physically inactive, which means what is physical inactivity? Moving about will be so less, just the person will be sitting in the same place without activity. So those people also will get hypertension or high BP easily. And smokers, like chain smokers, frequently people who smoke, no, they also have more chances of getting this condition, that is the hypertension condition. So what are the causes that may cause hypertension? Alcohol intake, people who eat more salty and fatty food, and people with stress, and those whose physical activity is inactive almost, and people who smoke more will also get hypertension. So what is the symptoms? How will you know that a person has this hypertension condition? What are the symptoms? This is not much symptomatic usually, no. I told about the previous two conditions what we studied. I told you the person will feel dizzy, or he or she will become unconscious, no. But in this condition, hypertension condition is almost asymptomatic, which means there is no symptoms seen mostly, but sometimes you can have headache or dizziness. Dizziness means feeling like fainting, right? And also some heart diseases may be accompanied to people who have this condition, that is hypertension. So what are the symptoms? Mostly it is asymptomatic. Sometimes it may show mild headaches or dizziness accompanied by heart diseases. So this is about the conditions which lead to improper functioning of the heart. So for today I have given you an activity. What is the activity I told you? You are going to measure the pulse rate of you for 1 minute. How will you measure? Put your thumb below your left hand, and with the other 3 middle fingers just press this way and count how many times you sense the pulse for 1 minute, and write the number and send it to me. Clear? This is your activity. And also read page number 90 as your homework. Read today's portion. And this is all for today's class. Until I meet you in your next biology class, you all take care. Bye bye.